I've given up on asking anybody to lay in a fucking forearm like Buddy Landell in 1984. They just can't get it. But then, toward the middle part, it turned into a lot of punch, chop, and kick, which I thought, as athletic as those guys are, they could have done a few more wrestling-oriented tactics. But all in all, they beat shit out of each other. And they were serious. And as you know, that's the thing, is serious within Marks obviously is, but you had a struggle. Now the problem is, during the match, I mean, okay, Tommaso Ciampa comes out and his first night of company confronts Mark Briscoe, and he's called the Psycho Killer, and he looks like a goddamn nut. So I guess he's the heel, right? Was that what you were thinking, at least going into this?
That Tommaso's the heel.
Say again?
That Tommaso Ciampa's the heel.
Yes, that Tommaso's, that's what you would think.
Absolutely. He was presented as a heel. Mark Briscoe's been nothing but a babyface.
Yeah.
And he was the one who was confronted by him.
Yes. So then, when they have the match, the one thing I'm thinking is, well, they're doing their stuff. Mark's doing all his shit. Tommaso's doing some of his stuff. They start getting some 2 counts. Froggy Bo's in there. But I'm like, Ciampa's done nothing to establish himself as a heel. And then, spoiler alert again, we come to find out after the match, it's because he's not. He's a babyface too. After he beats Mark Briscoe clean in the ring, they shake hands and hug. The Psycho Killer is a babyface. So, the thing that I didn't like, they had to get the fight on the floor in, and they had rolled around a little bit on a table there, and then Tommaso chucks Mark Briscoe back in the ring and gets up on the table and stands there with his back to the ring. You know, like, yeah, it's me. If he's going to be a fucking heel or a babyface that's hugging the guy that he just beat and shaking his hand afterwards, why did he fucking throw him in the ring and then turn around like how great I am? And he turns around and Mark Briscoe comes off the top rope with the fucking elbow and puts him through a table. They had to break the table. They weren't even anywhere near there beforehand, and they didn't ever go back there. They just had to get a table breaking in.
Well, that's kind of the problem. It was very professional. Like, it was set up perfectly. You're going to take a table bump in wrestling course. This is how to do it. Tommaso Ciampa timed it right, turned, shoved in the air with Mark Briscoe to make sure he landed on the table perfectly, and he did. So it was great. In here's how you do it, kids, kind of way. Very professional.
Yeah. And they were milking the 20-minute time limit. They'd gone about 18, and then, they went back and forth, and Mark hit some stuff, and then Tommaso caught him with a German suplex and hit him with that knee lift, which looks a lot better than the goddamn Caruso's little pissy little fucking knee lift that doesn't ever hit anybody. And beat him 1, 2, 3. And again, it was an okay match. It was brilliant compared to most of the AEW matches that are either just excessive everything or concentrating on, being on the floor for 10 minutes or whatever. The table spot was unnecessary, but then they shake hands and hug, and so they brought the Psycho Killer in as a babyface, and Mark just got beaten clean in the ring, so thank you for coming. And then Kyle Felcher comes out to stare at Tommaso. Tommaso Ciampa looks like he would eat Kyle for breakfast. They should have had Tommaso beat Kyle to build for a match with Briscoe, because these two guys at least look like fucking fighters of some description. Instead of this, he looks now like he's a 14-year-old nerd in study hall. They've just made Kyle look like a complete fucking idiot.
Because you don't like his wardrobe.
That's one thing, yes, they're goddamn... shaved all his hair off. They've got him with those goddamn goofy glasses on and in a suit that doesn't make him look like Nature Boy Ric Flair. It makes him look like he's dressed up for his hospital pictures.
Oh my god.
And who thinks that he's give either Mark Briscoe or Tommaso Ciampa a fucking fight? Jesus
Kyle's
Christ.
got
It's like
six
a goddamn...
He's got size.
Like a juvenile delinquent. I know, and they made him look like a juvenile delinquent. Instead of a bishop, he's fucking athlete. Well, they do in certain parts of the country.
I don't know about that, but again, it's an interesting dynamic to have Kyle come out there, who I guess is still technically a heel with the Callis family, although the fans now treat him more like a babyface, and he's dressing very prim and proper. I don't know. I don't think there's an issue with, people think that anyone's going to eat him alive. When he takes off his shirt in the ring, he looks like a big, strong guy, so it'll be okay. What are your thoughts on them doing this on Collision? Should they have had this exact match on Dynamite this week?
Yes, that's what I said at the start of the thing. They could have at least promoted it for 7 days instead of just boom. And again, if you want to get a guy over that's debuting as a big baby face, why do you have him come in and be one of your fucking babyface? One of the only baby faces you got that most everybody likes. Why would he come in and beat some asshole heel? You get it? I get another belt. Everybody's got a belt. Just beat one of them for their belt. Oh, Christ. The last thought that I would have in my mind, if I was bringing in Tommaso Ciampa to be a big baby face, and believe me, I would think about that also. And I don't know why the Psycho Killer, otherwise they're just glad to see him. And Tony knows he doesn't know how to put any heat on anybody. But the last thing I would think of is if I'm going to bring a big baby face in, to have him in his debut beat one of the other of my baby faces.
Psycho Killer is looking at his Hey, real quick, because I don't think he broke
run away.
We didn't, I don't think, discuss it during the Dynamite review. Did you see the 2 backstage promo segments? Kyle doing his promo, and Okada came and apologized to him. And then the second segment with Kyle and Takeshita, where Takeshita, in English, all of a sudden everyone speaks and everyone can understand each other. When Takeshita turns to him and says, "You accepted Okada's apology?" You didn't see any of that?
No, I didn't watch any of that. And the reason why is because you just told me what it was, and now they've got the fucking idiots apologizing to each other in the back. I don't care what Okada does. I barely care anymore what Take does, and I'm not really thrilled with what they're doing to poor Kyle.
Is it interesting that the Callis family always has like a little that's like kind of half babyface, half heel, not associated with the Callis family, but will be there now for months at a time? Yeah, but that was the TNT title change on TNT, AWE, January 31st. June.
Yes.
It's almost like this is a draft pick for Tony Khan. He said, I get to pick one of the guys from their side, someone's talent and skill and wrestlers, big matches. I'm going to take Tommaso Ciampa. That will be my draft pick. And of course, speaking of drafts, there are beers that have been sold by a lot of wrestlers once a bar afterwards.
There's some wind blowing through here right now.
There's some wind blowing from our good friends at DraftKings, Jim.
Boy, that was anguish how you got there. Folks, I'll tell you one thing right now. Super Bowl 60 deserves a sports book built for the moment. And that's why DraftKings Sportsbook, the official betting partner of Super Bowl 60, has gone and done what they did in Saudi Arabia. They built their own sports book just for Super Bowl 60. And they've been working in a parking lot over in Poughkeepsie since about, I guess, the 1st of January. They've done it in about 30 days. They built this giant sports book just for Super Bowl 60. And anything can happen during the Super Bowl, including apparently this whole thing collapsing. But DraftKings will still have your back, ladies and gentlemen, with early exit. Brian, have you heard about the early exit?
You mentioned it to me before, but I think it's worth reiterating.
Well, I'll iterate it right here for you. If a player goes down in the first half, you still get paid out in cash immediately once your bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. That means if you're betting that one of these big players is going to go down, and you're just sitting there, oh, well, please, break your leg, hurt yourself, do something, go down, you're going to get paid out in cash immediately, as long as he goes down. New to DraftKings, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Turn $5 into $300 in the bonus bets. All you got to do is win one thing. Boom, you're on your way to fame, fortune, and glory. You on your way to fame, fortune, and glory?
Maybe I'm maybe a quarter of the way there. Not sure.
You're not going to tell me, you refuse to tell me all the big wagers you're going to place on the big game through DraftKings Sportsbook. You're not going to spill that information, or you just don't want to make it public. Because you got the inside information on a guy with tranquilizer darts on the sideline, so you know who's going down in the first half.
And off-air conversations are supposed to remain off-air conversations. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, folks, if you'd like a tranquilizer dart straight to poverty, then just win some money now. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code CORNET. My last name, CORNETTE. Code CORNET to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins in partnership with DraftKings, where the crown is yours.
All right, our good friends at DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Help me breathe for a second now here. Just say anything.
Breathe for a second.
Well, I just get my oxygen tank set up right here. And Friday, here we go. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY, I think, or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-7897-7777 or visit ccpg.org. That's easier. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois, 21 plus in most states, void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, cdkng.co/audio. Good time off.
The crown is yours. Our good friends at DraftKings, and I'm yelling again, the crown is yours, is what I meant to say. Jim, as you catch your breath and we move on here with the show, a quick programming note. The next experience will have the review of WWE Raw after the Royal Rumble and AEW Dynamite. And next week's drive-thru will be all history and your questions. So stay tuned for that. Well, Jim, as we begin to wrap up, we have a couple more things. And one of them's a bit of a follow-up. And just like we did the first time, I don't know exactly how to deal with all this just because I still don't know up from down. The Nick Piccolo, that's his name.
Hey, big boy.
Nick Piccolo's at it again.
That's
Good morning. Go take a shower.
You know, again, there's been this back and forth with him and a lot of people online. He apparently, as the kids say, doxed Tony Khan, put his phone number and his email address up on Twitter so that people can, I guess, submit booking ideas. I don't know what. But a lot of listeners have gotten in touch. A lot of listeners apparently have thoughts on what exactly this is or that's caused it. Here's one. I'll just go to this real quick. This was sent to cornydraw@gmail.com from JP in Columbus. Rather than give the detailed blow-by-blow of this ridiculousness, I just wanted to share Now, the whole thing started, and it hadn't been shared. It stems from Lil Piccolo and other entertainment industry folks being invited to a show that AEW had at the Kia Forum. At the event, Nick and others complained at the lack of VIP treatment they received at the event, from lack of valet parking to a non-existent spread and bad seating location. He claimed that this is
Not non-existent spread, like they were supposed to feed him too.
I presume that's what he meant there, and that maybe what's
If valet parking, if I invite you somewhere, hey, come to my show for free, I'll get you tickets. The only thing so far I'm hot about is they didn't give a good seat.
again, you expect it a different way if the other show in town does it the other way. If WWE runs LA and they're gonna have valet parking and give you catering and take care of you and give you good seats, it's the con. It's different than if you can sit opposite the camera spot and you do whatever it is. It's a bad email. They claim that this is why AEW is not taken seriously when compared to TKO and WWE. That is really the genesis of this whole ridiculous thing. Instead of saying his piece and going about his business, he chose to get down in the mud with the worst that online wrestling fandom has to offer, and it may cost him way more than he expected. And again, this is just a viewer here or somebody sitting JP in Columbus. Apparently, some of the AEW supporters slash accounts that he's accused of being bots or whatever it is, posting photos of his children. So it has gotten too far. I have an article here that can maybe sum up at least things from the Lil Piccolo side. This appears to be a...
Well, and again, from the other side of things, that's what funny if he wants to get fed for free. Hey, when I was on WWF shows, they didn't feed us, so I have no sympathy for anybody. But how can you possibly get mad enough at somebody for complaining about some fucking lack of VIP treatment enough to put pictures of their children out and bring their kids into it because he's complaining about Tony's lack of catering? This is the most ridiculous shit I've ever heard.
And someone said that letter we read last time that we said we couldn't really figure out like who it was about. Someone visited someone at their door. Someone said that was his mom. And someone apparently went to his mom's house about that. I don't know. I don't know, because again...
Well, I wish somebody would come to my mother's house about me sometime to see what fucking happened to
She'd
them.
hold the shotgun, wouldn't she?
Yeah, when I was in a shotgun.
Oh, it was a shotgun, no?
No, it was a rifle. She wasn't going to spray the whole neighborhood. She's very good at a .22 rifle. She was very good. She slept in bed with it under the covers when she lived alone.
You asked why anyone on that side would be mad about his complaints about catering and stuff. And I agree with you, it's kind of a frivolous thing. But playing devil's advocate, if you're Tony Khan, let alone his bot army or whatever the hell it is that he's saying is out there, people that help him, co-conspirators he called them, it's not just an agent and some Hollywood type at our LA show expecting perks. It's the agent of CM Punk and Jade Cargill going on social media, ripping on AEW. And it didn't take long for people to realize, oh shit, that's the agent for CM Punk and Jade Cargill. So that changes the dynamic a little bit, wouldn't you say?
Well, then why didn't Tony call him up and say, oh, geez, Nick, I'm sorry we didn't get you the, fucking pizza, or the Mrs. Winter's chicken, or whatever we were getting everybody else. Let's make it up to you. Instead of just back and forth on Twitter?
Well, again, several listeners, and this is where we'll end it this week. We'll see what happens next week. Several listeners sent over this article that was posted on Twitter by John McMullen. And if I go to his profile here, it says, NFL Eagles Insider, SI Now on Eagles, so that's Sports Illustrated, JAKIB Sports, host of Birds 367, ESPN. So apparently this is a football...
He's a busy man. He's a busy fella.
The article says exclusive wrestling wars. AEW owner tried to silence outspoken critic. Professional wrestling's top feud isn't headlining WrestleMania in April. It's the no-holds-barred match between the owner of AEW, Tony Khan, and former Paradigm talent agent, Niccolo Piccolo. Khan is one of the most powerful people in professional wrestling, as well as the chief strategy officer of the NFL's Jacksonville Jaguars, and vice chairman and director of football operations of the English Premier League's Fulham FC, organizations owned by his billionaire father, Shad Khan. We'll stop right with that. Again, we'll go through this and see what facts are in here, but you can tell this is a very one-sided thing. Well, Piccolo reps some of the pro wrestling industry's biggest stars, by CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, Tiffany Stratton, and Liv Morgan, along with ex-AEW talent like Jade Cargill, Blake Monroe, and Rusev. Piccolo has been a vocal thorn in AEW's side for many months, especially on social media. The outspoken insider has pushed back against a tribalistic fan base, often fueled by the industry's longtime voice of record, veteran reporter Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer. An agent for nearly 2 decades, Piccolo has unique insights into the business end of pro wrestling, tied to his representation of top talent, which allows access to proprietary business information not available to the general public. Let me stop there because it gives the person here. Any thoughts on this so far?
It sounds like that old Nick is a legitimate guy and that he's been in a legitimate business, and that's why I'm so stunned that he has been speaking the way he does and doing this whole thing on Twitter and sounding like one of these regular lunatics. If he's, or has he had a meltdown because getting involved in wrestling drive a fucking normal goddamn executive crazy? What's going on with him?
Back to this article. The rise of the feud elevated quickly from petty trash talk to significant allegations of harassment and even stalking based on criticism of a wrestling company. While Piccolo would often downplay Meltzer's business analysis, which Khan grew up with and now covets, according to multiple AEW sources. Let me stop there. He covets things. I mean, I'm not even putting that in his business stuff. I mean, it's one thing I read it, he covets it. Covets? The goal is to enhance AEW's status as a challenger brand to the industry juggernaut, TKO's WWE, and its nearly $40
Come on down,
billion
bud.
market cap. The back and forth between Meltzer and Piccolo is
Underwear.
often entertaining, albeit childish at times.
Now make your breakfast in a few minutes, okay?
Stopped when someone in the industry instructed Meltzer, it's a quote, to stand down while signaling Piccolo's status in the industry. Let's stop there. Have you ever heard of anything like that?
No, who could? In what industry? What industry are we talking about? The newsletter industry, or the wrestling industry, or the football industry, or the agenting industry?
It's the newsletter industry. Steve Beverly's on the line. He says, stand down.
Stand down.
Stand down, Dave.
God damn it. And tell Dave to stand down, and why would he give a shit? I don't.
Back to this. Behind the scenes, Khan, or someone close to the family, had already called in a favor to silence the bombastic Piccolo, one-time safety at the University of Delaware. It worked, to an extent. Paradigm gave Piccolo explicit instructions to refrain from making or publishing any statements on any platform, including X, that could be interpreted as disparaging, defamatory, or antagonistic towards any individual or entity, including but not limited to Tony Khan or AEW.
Wait a minute, so to any individual or entity in the world, he can never say another negative thing about anybody?
Well, not necessarily negative. You can't say anything disparaging, defamatory, or antagonistic. Antagonistic is the other biggest step too far. Defamatory and disparaging is fine.
I would go with disparaging and antagonizing before I go with defamatory, because defamatory sounds like the only thing is legally actionable.
Caroline was also contacted by a reporter around the same time, not believed to be Nelson, who complained about LoPiccolo's online behavior and statements, believing them to be veiled threats. That's a quote. It came off as a concerted effort to damage LoPiccolo's reputation and threaten his job status, according to a talent agency associate not authorized to speak on the matter. LoPiccolo's anger stemmed from that alleged effort to harm him and his family, for those loyal to Khan, and perhaps even the executive himself. Troubling accusations of doxing and threats from the extremes of the internet wrestling community. Let's stop there for a second.
The extremes of the internet wrestling community.
Because over the last 10 years, you and I have seen the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the internet wrestling community. On several different occasions, they've come after us.
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing for the internet wrestling community. Okay, block them on Twitter. Done. There you go.
Don't worry, I'll make you breakfast in a few minutes.
Tony Khan, as a executive, an owner of this allegedly $1 million company and all the shit he's got going on, to be back and forth on Twitter or whatever with this guy. This guy is a sports agent with a big agency. If he wants to fucking joust with a guy on Twitter every once in a while, fine. But to have a war go on and then whine about it. If somebody had knocked on my mother's door about something that I did related to the wrestling business in an antagonistic way, I would not be tweeting about it to the guy. I would be fucking on the phone, because actually Nick's an agent, he flies around. I'd be knocking on the guy's office door. Hey, Tony, we got some shit to talk about here. It wouldn't be on Twitter.
And it came to real-world consequences. And social media accusations paled in comparison to Naito's, quote, manager in relationship to Mr. Khan and AEW, playing repeatedly to Pentagon about LoPiccolo's criticism of Khan and AEW.
Wait a minute, a manager? Does that mean a wrestling manager or a manager of a company, or how is that? Is it in quotation marks, or what the fuck is?
His name was Jim Cornette, the tennis
Oh,
referee.
hey, no, I don't have any connections to Tony Khan or whatever. But anyway, back up, start over. I'm sorry.
That's all right. The manager was Bernie Cahill, a founding partner of activist artist management, a full-service talent management, integrated media and advisory firm based in West Hollywood, California, funded in large part by Shane Khan. The pushback was
So wait a minute. So this Bernie guy is the head of a company that Shad Khan puts money up for, or whatever the fuck, and he did what they get it down to.
In this article, he told Paradigm, which were the former employers of Piccolo, the agency, to make multiple complaints about his behavior towards Tony Khan and AEW.
So Shad's Cadbury, his butler there, that is calling up, hey, you're picking on my friend's son.
Well, this guy's a big deal in Hollywood looking here. He owns a lot of things going on. Used to date
Apparently all these people are big deals in Hollywood, and they can't get their shit together.
Back to the article here, Jim. The pushback was enough that Paradigm again warned LoPiccolo to keep quiet about AEW, citing potential legal exposure stemming from defamatory remarks against financially well-heeled adversaries. A source with AEW said that Khan was, is the quote, particularly troubled by LoPiccolo's claim that AEW's media rights deal with Warner Brothers Discovery wasn't the $185 million in cash per year most wrestling reporters have cited. Let's stop there for a second, because that's an interesting little twist. We see what Dave reports about AEW, which coincidentally enough is almost exactly what AEW wants people to think. about everything, but we never see anything when it comes to buy rates, ratings for Max. In terms of the money,
or the television rights deal, more specifically, the amount of, say,
the amount, the expenditures, I mean, everything they do. So here's this article. I mean, if you ask me, as absolutely the source for this article, that'd be like, yes, I don't know that. But he's saying here that that's one of the issues. That's the interesting thing. That's only be bothered by that. Again, they've been hiding from Rome's AEW for a long time. That's pretty hard to let that get out of court for some reason. And the actual owners of AEW.
On paper.
So back to this article. Find the semantics of a deal worth up to 170 to 185 million, according to an industry insider, versus 185 million in cash for sold according to Tom, is unknown. Although the all-cash presumption has prompted Meltzer to consistently portray AEW, a private company that keeps its books behind closed doors, is now profitable for the first time based on his own internal guesswork. Let's stop there for a moment.
Down deep in my heart, I guess the following is true.
Yeah. This is the semantics of a deal which is worth up to 170 to 185 million versus 185 million in cash, which is the version of facts that AEW isn't allowed to permeate. Whether or not
What's the option other than cash? Would they be giving Tony stock in their company like some kind of souped-up Podcast One deal? How else would they be paying him besides cash unless there's something tied to the fact that we just found out here recently that WBD owns 9% or whatever the exact percentage is, under 10% of AEW, which would give them obviously no particular voting power per se, because Tony always said nobody has decision-making control over AEW but me. Well, that's true. Somebody else could own a piece and be a silent partner, which we now know is true also. So, how they are compensating them on this television rights deal? Is there some caveat that, well, but we take out this as our part of the pay-per-views because it's on Max, or is that part of the pay that we're paying you, or you paying us for our 9%? What the fuck is going on? Tony don't want anybody to know this.
And we don't know it. Again, it's a private company. They don't have to reveal anything. Things quieted for a time. Ramped up again in recent days with Lopino announcing his exit from Paradigm, which many AEW fans celebrated on social media. One X account of particular interest was started a few months after the debut of AEW in 2019. Ron 11479281, a self-described burner account, which seemed to possess some significant industry knowledge, despite having under 10 followers. The account began tweeting Piccolo, but went dark after the age of 10 NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell earlier this week. The @Ron11479281 account and similar X accounts also began disappearing after Piccolo brought them to light. Let's stop there. We talked about whether or not Tony Khan was behind that specific account and whether or not Tony Khan has burner accounts. I would put money on Tony Khan having multiple accounts everywhere. It was pointed out to me a long time ago. One of his families is on the message board. I won't point it out, so to ruin that for anyone else who enjoys it. But he's out there. Again, this is in his life, going back to the mid-90s. An online life. It just so happens he has a billionaire dad. This is the guy, his dad, $1 million or $10, whatever it was, to keep me online all day. That's just who he is. So the idea that he's out there shit posting, causing trouble, acting like a heel online, I would put money down that he's doing it. I just don't know if he's the one behind this wrong account.
It's just, it's saying to me that all of these people have this much fucking time on their hands that they can do these things and make these fake accounts and do all the posting and the
Hi, baby boy.
etc. But I agree with you, Tony. If anybody, Tony would be in multiple places on the internet under multiple names and talking to people constantly.
Khan, meanwhile, did a quick video from the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama, discussing how busy he was with the NFL draft prep, the EPL transfer window, and Wednesday night's AEW Dynamite show. By the way, that seems like he's too busy for all of those things. There is no direct evidence that Khan has turned into the wrestling world's version of Brian Colangelo with an actual burner account. Although Piccolo believes the AEW Kingpin is behind the shenanigans. Ironically, in April of 2022, Khan intimated that WWE was funding anti-AEW bots. The below-the-belt back and forth has continued from there, with useful idiots, as in quotes, from both sides of a toxic community, turning to the kind of low blows that would make heel John Cena proud, accusing both combatants of everything, mental health issues, to illicit drug use. Dean Piccolo also left X for a short period, citing concern for his clients before returning on Friday.
I think somebody could have got just on the phone and cussed somebody in 3 or 4 minutes and prevented all of this. A good 3 or 4 minute cussing on the phone sometimes can prevent, continued drama.
I think even if you want your agent to be kind of a bulldog, there's lots of guys who do. There's lots of different agents, and some of them are just fighters. Art Emanuel is a fighter. I just don't know if you want him doing it online against just any Twitter account they see. I'm not saying that he's wrong for, I'm just saying I don't know if I would want that from my agent if I was a star agent.
Well, but you know what? He's trying to make him think he's crazy. And that way they'll be like, oh shit, we got to give this guy whatever he wants because he's crazy.
Well, again, my advice for everyone, for Nick, especially Tony, get off Twitter.
I'm almost done, big boy.
Stop looking by Twitter. Stop causing trouble on Twitter. And Nick should probably get off Twitter too. And breathe. Go touch grass, as has been said before, all of you. But Jim, one more thing before we wrap things up.
Why are they always trying to steal Tony's weed?
One more thing before we wrap things up this week. I have on my desk what is this, a bit of a month on it? Is it covered up by this label? I don't know when it's from. The latest PWI, the 2025 Wrestling Awards.
Oh, good lord.
People love getting your opinions on these things for some reason. So why don't we go with the 2025 Pro Wrestling Illustrated Year in Pro Wrestling Awards. Jim, the Rookie of the Year. Who would you give Rookie of the Year to?
Throne Breaker.
Kendall Gray, Rookie of the Year, with 28% of the vote. Kendall Gray from NXT, I believe. Also on the list.
Who is it? Have we seen him?
It's a girl. It's a girl. Looks very
Kendall
good.
Windham wants a word.
Well, with his long hair, he looked like a girl too, actually. But
Hey!
the Texas Outlaws got 24%, and those are Wayne and Wyatt Rhodes. Reese Maddox got 8%, the son of WWE referee Jason Ayers. And finally, Callie Armstrong. Jim, the most improved wrestler.
Those are the Rookies of the Year.
Hey,
Jim, but when we talk about 2025, most improved, who did you see?
don't worry, you're gonna get a big old breakfast.
Oh, good lord. Who has gotten better? None of the above?
23% of the vote. Harley Cameron. Most improved.
Oh,
wrestler.
jeez.
Followed by JC Jane, 17%. Raquel Rodriguez with 10%. And 6%, Bear Bronson.
I think if I was
She's not better.
if I was Rochelle there, I would be pissed off at the company that I was in and not beaten.
Jim, the comeback of the year. Who had the comeback of the year for 2025?
Who came back? Let's see. Who went away? Comeback is usually from a big injury, but it's somebody come back. Oh, one of the Bellas. They said one of the Bellas came back. That's a big deal.
You're kind of right. With 27% of the vote, John Bella. John Cena, comeback of the year. 27% of the vote, followed by 21% for AJ Lee, 10% for Bandito, not from Bandito, 8% for Kenny Omega.
Just forgot about it. Actually, it should have been AJ Lee because Cena came back in 2024 to tell us he was retired in 2025, didn't he?
Yes, so, yeah, you're right.
So seeds that I've caught him.
Right, well, the most inspirational wrestler of the year who inspires you, Jim.
Sir.
Right, not a traditional pick. Interesting.
He inspires me that there's still hope for the wrestling business.
70% of the vote. Mike Santana, the TNA World Champion. Mike Santana, the inspirational wrestler of the year.
What did he inspire in me, Chris?
He overcame the red disorder of working for Tony Khan.
Well, that's okay. That's often fatal.
10% for Adam Page, 9% for Dustin Rhodes, 8% for Jey Uso. The most popular wrestler of the year, Jim. The most popular wrestler of the year. What do you think of this one?
Well, one would immediately go to Cody Rhodes because he is the nominal top babyface in the WWE, the largest company, but still is he the most popular? Because possibly CM Punk might be more popular, or perhaps, well, I said Jey Uso 6 or 8 months ago. Punk's the most popular.
Interesting thing. I'll go backwards here with 11% Jey Uso, with 13% John Cena, with 15% Cody Rhodes. And the winner, most popular wrestler of 2025 with 18%. Timeless Tony Storm.
Oh, for Christ's sake. I wasn't really arguing as much until they got past Cody Rhodes. If at the time Tony Storm is in their minds more popular than Cody Rhodes, to be popular, people have to know who the fuck you are. And the comparison is staggering. That's not even reflective of either one's ability. It's just mathematical fact. Many more people know who Cody is, see him and watch him, than Tony Storm.
Jim, the most hated wrestler of 2025. What do you think?
Well, maybe a year before that, I might have said Dominic Mysterio, just because he had the heat thing going on, but now they're liking him. And at one time, it probably would have been MJF, but that's long gone. I don't think since they're trying to appeal to smart fans, they're not going to say for McIntyre, because he's the biggest heel in the biggest company. Moxley. Dick the Boozer was still a heel, so they got to give him something.
He's actually a couple of the finalists, but with 9% of the finalists, John Moxley, 10% of the not a wrestler, Don Callis, 50% Dominic Mysterio, and the winner with 60% of the votes, and Paul.
Forgot about a little bit Paul. I can't argue with that.
And he's posing with the photos, so WWE allowed their talent to get ridiculous GQ awards. Team of the year for 2025, Jim.
I can't remember who was doing what in what year over the last couple of years. We talked about so much, but Punk and Rollins, because the highlight for me was the mixed tag match.
And you know what? During the year, 30% of the vote, CM Punk versus Seth Rollins.
There you go.
Followed by 21% for Ryan May versus Tony Storm. 8% for Edge versus John Moxley, and 7% for NXT versus TNA. The Indie Wrestler of the Year. And I'll play spoiler. For some reason, maybe the editor's crush, I really don't know. For some reason, this person got the cover of the organization. The Indie Wrestler of the Year for 2025. What do you think?
Then now you thought it's got to be a girl then, if the editor's got a crush on her. Who's an indie girl?
Well, you're not going to get it, so I'll just give it to you.
Megan Gray. Shotzi Black.
31% of the vote. She got the cover. Again, we're talking about 2025 year in wrestling. If I wanted to sell magazines, no disrespect, I don't know if I'd be Shotzi Blackheart.
Did she wrestle this past year? How long's she been gone? We haven't seen her in ages. What's her?
Here's the description here. A battle with Matt Cardona, who came in second place for 22. And
It sounds like a battle with psoriasis. He had a difficult battle with cancer, but fortunately,
it says that she wrestled in Canada, Japan, the UK, and the United States, so I don't really know what the hell she was doing. Followed by Matt Cardona, then 7%, one All Fingers, and at 6%, Effie. Gym Match of the Year. What was the best match you saw in 2025? I'm sure it didn't win. What was the best match you saw in 2025?
Well, besides the mixed tag team match, damn. The mixed tag team match. At least I remember it.
12% the winning match. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena on August 3rd. Followed by Mariah May versus Toni Storm. What is that, March 9th? Awful type they're using here. Followed by Bianca Belair versus Team Sky versus Rhea Ripley, which I think won a different award. Followed by Adam Page versus John Moxley. Tag Team of the Year, champ, your specialty.
Ron Breaker and Bronson Reed.
Boys.
What year is this? 1990?
They got 18% of the vote, followed by Brodito with 13%. The allies of convenience of Charlotte and Alexa, 12%. The Hurt Syndicate with 11. Parties, Evons.
Years ago, yeah, but well, now it's an indictment of there are no tag teams anymore. The few that exist have been made meaningless. That's why I went with Reed and Breaker, because they've been featured on top.
It's really hard to diagnose who are voting for this. Faction of the Year, champ. The Faction of the Year.
The Vision.
They came in fourth with 12%. Further was the Judgment Day with 15%. And the Death Riders with 21%. But the winning faction, the Don Callis family.
Oh, come on.
24% of the vote.
There's 24 people. Each person in it got 1%. And nobody
I did
can
it.
stand there with a straight face and say that slopped together bunch of individuals with a manager that doesn't even try to manage is better than the goddamn main event heel stable under Paul Heyman in the goddamn WWE. I'm sorry. You can dream all you want, but it ain't happening.
Well, Jim, Woman of the Year. Who would get your vote for Woman of the Year?
Michelle Obama.
I don't believe she was one of the candidates here this year.
Oh, you mean Woman Wrestler of the Year?
Yes, this may not be her year.
Oh.
Yes.
Then I'm gonna. I know they won't say Rhea Ripley only because she's so dominant that everybody's jealous. So let's go with Liv Morgan.
With 28% of the votes, Mercedes Moné.
Oh, for Christ.